Hello everybody, welcome to this week's protection update, the 11th of March. Where is the year going? I actually had a week off last week, which is why my protection update was a bit short, because I pre-recorded it before I went away. But the theme of last week's update was underwriting. And for me, that is something the industry, I feel, needs to improve. But let me be clear, I don't mean improve in terms of each provider's underwriting philosophies. That's the business of the providers. But I mean to make it more easy for you, the advisors, so that you can make more accurate protection recommendations based on the likely outcomes that your clients will receive. And that's of course why we made the Underwrite Me tool available to you. But of course it doesn't cover all of the providers, and that still makes it quite difficult when you're trying to evaluate the whole of the market. So during my protection updates, I want to keep coming back to the subject of underwriting and try and help give you the tools that you need to do your job when it comes to the subject of underwriting. Now in this week's protection update, I want to take a look at Aviva, who are the first provider to feature on our new Underwriting Hub that you can now access on the advisor site just under protection. Now I'm going to start by talking about diabetes. Did you know that if you had a client who has got diabetes, that's either type 1, type 2 or gestational diabetes, Aviva actually offer instant decisions through their portal 85% of the time. That was actually following a review of their automated approach last year, and it means that Aviva can now really be a good fit for your diabetic clients. We are, though, only talking about life cover. Critical illness cover and income protection would not be available. But if your client is managing their diabetes condition, I think you'll get favourable terms with Aviva. Now that's the first entry that we've added to our new Underwriting Hub. There's not much there at the moment, but this will continue to grow over the coming weeks and months. So you can read up all about the diabetes with Aviva, so obviously watch this space. Now I'm going to keep the focus on Aviva as my example in the rest of this protection update, but let's just say that you're about to make a recommendation for some protection cover. How can you manage the expectations of your client in terms of any further medical evidence that might be required by the life office? Life offices will request further medical evidence in two different types of situations. We're talking here things like GP reports, medical examinations, nurse screenings, that kind of thing. And the two reasons I talk about are actually based on the application form that you sent in or based on the age and the sum assured of your client. That's what I mean by automatic medical limits. In other words, it doesn't matter how healthy your client is, if the client is of a certain age, applying for a certain level of sum assured, certain medical evidence is always requested. So let's play a game and look at three different clients. What you've got to decide is, without me telling you the answer, what do you think is going to be requested by Aviva in terms of medical evidence? Do you think some medical evidence is required? If so, what do you think they're going to ask for? Or do you think none will be required automatically? Now, the first of my case study clients is Kevin. Kevin is 58 years of age. Now, he's applying for life cover with a sum assured of £220,000 with Aviva. So the question I'm going to pose to you is, will any medical evidence automatically be required? Now, the answer is no. And I know this because if you look at the Aviva Medical Evidence Sales Aid, which is attached to this protection update, it tells me on page 3 the point at which a 58-year-old applicant for life cover would automatically need a GP report when the sum assured hits £220,001. So they're just under the limit. Now, having access to that kind of information as part of your research would be very, very valuable because you'll be able to manage the expectations of your client. They definitely will be requesting a GP report. And it is interesting to know this information because all the different providers do have different limits. Let's take a look at another one. We'll look at Sally, who is 47, and she's applying for critical illness cover. So what about Sally? Well, the sum assured here is £310,000. And my question again to you is, do you think any automatic medical evidence will be required by Aviva? The answer is yes, it will. Sally would be required, regardless of what it says in the application form, of undertaking a paramedical mini screen, and if she's a non-smoker, she'll also be required to take a cotinine test. How do I know this? Well, if I look at page 7 of the Aviva Automatic Underwriting Requirement Sales Aid, it shows me again that for applicants of critical illness cover between the ages of 46 next birthday and 50 next birthday, Sally is 47. Any sums assured greater than £300,001 up to £350,000, they will automatically require these two pieces of medical evidence. That's, of course, the paramedical mini screen and also that cotinine test. Now, if the sum assured reaches above £350,000, then a GP report will also be required as well. Again, it's quite useful to know that information. Let's take a look at one more. This time we're going to look at income protection. Now, I've got my client John, who is 39 years of age, and he actually wants quite a big income protection policy. It's actually £5,500 per month of income protection cover with Aviva. Now, he's 39 years of age, so what is the automatic medical evidence required? Well, the fact that he's 39 years of age, 40 next birthday, it actually means that with Aviva, no automatic evidence will be required. But what happens when John reaches his 40th birthday? Let's say that's 3 months away. Well, at that point, if you take a look at this guide, if he hasn't already set up his Aviva income protection policy, then quite a few pieces of automatic medical evidence will kick in. If you take a look at page 9 of the Aviva Automatic Underwriting Requirements Sales Aid, I can see that John will be required to take a medical examination. If he's a non-smoker, he'll be asked to take a cotinine test. A GP report will also be automatically requested. A full blood profile will be requested, and that includes a lipid profile. And finally, a HIV test will also be required. And that's what will happen to this client if he doesn't take out his income protection cover now, but instead if he leaves it until after his 40th birthday. Now, I know many of you listening to this podcast will be aware of this kind of thing. Some of you won't. So I've added a link to the Aviva Automatic Underwriting Requirements Sales Aid to this week's protection update, but it also features on the Underwriting Hub. What I'd like you to do, and this is a call to action, is let me know about the types of content that you'd like to see added to the Underwriting Hub. You might have some really good resource tools that you use yourself, so if you don't mind sharing them with your fellow advisors, send them to me and we'll build this up so that you've got some great resources all in one place that's going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to sourcing protection cover for your clients. Now, I just want to finish by talking about roadshows. They're happening this month and they're actually on the road. We didn't manage to do that at the beginning of February, but we've got 6 roadshows. They start in just a couple of weeks' time, so please make sure that you register. We're coming to Knutsford, that's just south of Manchester, on the 22nd of March, Birmingham at the Motorcycle Museum on the 23rd of March, Edinburgh on the 25th, then the following week we've got Newport in South Wales on the 29th, Brentwood on the 30th, and we'll finish off with Durham on the 31st of March. It's an ambitious set of roadshow events with us doing 6 of these, so please do come along and support them. We're going to be looking at advice quality and also ideas to drive up revenues within your business. So Bob and myself would love to see you there. All the registration links are in this week's protection updates. So that's it from me for another week. Have a super weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.